what
I've been
happens
doing
during these
so
fights,
far.
man. I'm telling you, like people saying, "Come on, bitch," like that happens 90% of fights. It's I went from 80 to 90. Jeez Louise. 83% of fights. So it felt that's the most believable part of this movie for me.
Because that's not scripted. That's just like, okay, you guys are gonna get into a fight now.
Yeah.
You choreograph the moves, so now it's just like, okay, like get yourself like into a like a pumped up mode or whatnot. Like that's like that there's no line in that movie where it's like, and then I say, let's go, bitch. Okay, yeah, like. That's more like a suggestion where it's like, let's do this, man. It's like, can I say, come on, bitch, instead? Like, yeah, sure, go for it. Like, that's what that feels like.
Do one that's the script and then one that's just do whatever you want.
Yeah, then do one for fun. And we'll see which one we use.
I'm gonna drop you like third period French. It's bunkhouse brawl.
That's what an old man writes in a screenplay.
Yeah.
Hey, you, let's fight.
Yeah. Let's get it on.
That's why it's clearly a writer's thing with the old jokes. That's a screenwriter thing to do. Be like, yeah, make fun of him because he's old. Because we didn't cast this yet, so we just wrote this and never changed it.
Who are they thinking of for it to be an older guy to be in this? Who are they thinking? Like
Chris Lloyd,
JCVD. Van Damme's supposed to be in this role.
You need a C-level guy, obviously black, as established by this franchise. Okay. Yeah, like Michael Jai White.
Yeah, Michael Jai White. There it is. I was about to say that.
That's like the dream cast, and they couldn't quite get him because he has a Universal contract. Obviously, he was filming Sudden Death 2 at the same time. So they went for this.
The second episode of this where Michael Jai White being in Sudden Death 2 has come up on the podcast.
Yeah, we cast Michael Jai White in Deep Blue Sea 5.
Sudden Death 2's not bad. It's pretty
We
good.
pitched him as the bad guy in the next film. He's like the Hobbs coming in to take on the Fast and Furious squad that is all of the team coming together for Deep Blue Sea 4, the Deep and the Blue.
It makes sense to me. I just think he has like a Universal thing going, so he can't do anything that's outside of Universal. But we never know. Michael Jai White pops up in places.
He's 54, so he is an older man.
He seems like I could see him. I mean, you're talking to me about this, and as I know, black don't crack. So I mean, it's not. You're not going to see a lot of discernible differences between some of these cast members. Like Lucas looks like the oldest person in this movie, but whatever. So.
And also Earls. Did you look him up on IMDb? All the stuff he's done. He got kind of
a lot of stunt stuff.
Yeah, he's been like he was a stunt double in a bunch of different movies, and he was the parkour choreographer in Tomb Raider. He was Barry Pepper's stunt double. He was Evan Peters' stunt double. Richard Madden's stunt double. He was a parkour performer in Honey 3. But yeah, this guy's like a parkour. Like we could have had a parkour fight in Deep Blue Sea 3.
Which I could see, because it's all like level playing fields with the atoll thing. You'd be jumping on roofs and stuff with sharks chasing them or whatever. Like, that'd be cool.
Yeah, like have Shaw doing parkour.
I'd be into it.
What about that, Jay? Would you watch that?
Absolutely, yeah. I was just checking that Michael Jai White he's only a few years younger than Michael Beach, so he definitely could fill that role.
Yeah, he could. Yeah, Michael Jai White's been around.
He could be Michael Beach's brother in the next film.
Whoa.
I'm fine with that.
Everyone needs to watch Triple Threat, by the way. Go watch Triple Threat right now. No question.
Solid. That's a fun one. That's the Expendables of C-list action stars. So you got that going for you.
Oh, Iko Uwais C-list?
I'm C-list relatively as far as like audience awareness. Like,
fair enough.
We know who Iko Uwais is, but like no, when your higher profile roles are The Raid, which we saw, or Beyond Skyline, which we saw. It's like
no, we did not see Beyond Skyline.
That's so good. Him and Frank Grillo crushing people.
It is.
I saw The Raid.
Yeah, you got Iko Uwais doing like knee bombs to the face of aliens. Like, yes, or this, please.
Oh, when Lucas knees Shaw in the face.
Yes.
Like he does it. Shaw is standing up. He's 6'1". Lucas is 5'11". He manages from a standing to knee him in the face. That's incredible.
That's why you stretch. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good knee. And then like the spin kick into the tree. Just beautiful.
That's why I'm saying, like, it seems like Shaw got shortchanged in this fight, where it's like, I want to believe this guy's tough. And, the next chapter, I believe he has some significant stuff to do, if I'm not mistaken, in the chapter order. But I wanted to see Shaw get, like, a little more in without having to resort to what Jay referred to as dirty fighting, as far as, like, getting an upper hand for a second. It's like, it seems like he really, yes, he also lifted a guy and got bit off.
Yeah, that's a good redemption right there, like a beach ball.
We're spending far too much time talking about the spin kicks, although they're great. But there's a shark leaps through the air and decapitates a guy.
And let's set this up. So, because it's not just like he lifts him up, it's he's on top of this guy, and they look to the side like shark, and he like flips over.
If Shill hadn't looked to the side, Shaw would be the one who got decapitated.
Yeah, but instead he did a tactical move where he flipped him over and then lifted the guy just on the right timing. Like he had to rely on the sharks. He had to rely on the fact that there was not only a shark coming, but that it would presumably leave the water to take out one of them just then, which it did, and it perfectly took his whole head off.
Well, in the previous scene, everybody learned these sharks just love jumping, because you had Dr. Richard Lowell jumps off of the boat, and as a shark in the water, the shark could easily wait for him to reach the water and then eat him, but he's like, no, I gotta get me some jumping. And he jumps up and grabs him. So, knowing that, Shaw knows this shark's going to jump. And earlier in this chapter, there's a shark that follows Spin into the restaurant, and it makes this kind of half-hearted lunge at Spin and Mia on this cupboard. And it's nowhere near them. It's scaring them. It's trying to herd them up into the next loft so that shark can get a jump in. It can jump up, burst through the floor, and take it out. These sharks just love jumping.
This really followed the rule of 3 here. That's what I'm hearing right now.
That's really interesting. Just jump kills.
Jump kills.
It's easier to target that way, I'd imagine.
Wow.
I mean, I don't play D&D, but I know that there are some character types who gain advantage if they're being thrown or leaping. I think that's what's happening with these sharks. But I have nothing to back that up with.
I'm with you. I love it. And anyone knows on the poker table that the cards were 3 and 9? So do you think the 3 was 3 sharks and the 9 was 1999 for Deep Blue Sea?
Yeah, I'm sure that was the deep code they were going for on that one.
Yep, I picked that up. The production or prop guy who did that right now. The onset prop guy is just loving me right now. The onset dresser, because I called it.
He's one of your listeners too. So.
Oh yeah, he's gonna be on the show. I love the prop work in this one. The random spear.
Is he going to be on the show? Because you had the director and you had Tanya Ramon. So now I'm like, is he going to be on the show?
Yeah, we got retweeted by Brent Foster today. So
yeah, I told him. I was like, we get to talk about this chapter with his spin kicks. I was like, spin kicks plus sharks equal excellence. So
if he listens to this episode, just know I think Brent Foster, you did a great job in this movie. I think because he's complicated, right? He came on for a certain thing. Didn't get that thing. Then he goes from being seemingly like the nicer of the two between him and the doc and Dr. Lowell to becoming the head honcho bad guy. And I'm like, yeah, all right, I like this turn. This is a good job. And yeah, the spin kicks and all that. And I just want to say out loud, he does a great job in this movie.
And the monologue.
We talked about
he's got a big
chapter.
monologue.
He's phenomenal with that monologue in last week's episode.
It's good work. Yeah.
He's just doing his job. And Dr. Richie Lowell
every time
is just lying to him, and then he learns, and then he wants to go play the oboe. I mean, I get it.
Like it all works out for sure. And I got to say, I do like this movie quite. Like part of it's coming off of Deep Blue Sea the same day, the same day, which was so terrible. So I was like, I'm ready for. And you guys had said like this one's better. But I don't know what to expect from that. So watching it's like, oh yeah, this is like it's not only better, it's like a good movie. Like
it's an actual film.
Yeah.
It's comprehensive. It's like getting done with.
I like that because the second one's like a remake, just with lesser everything. So this one's like, sharks. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a remake with baby sharks.
Enjoy.
So no.
So I was happy that this one was like treading its own, water. It was doing its own thing to like mix it up as far as the plot goes. And I like this. I know we're talking more overall instead of just the chapter, but I just want to point out, this will tie back in. One of the key things I liked about this movie and this chapter, the underwater footage is really good. Like they do a good job of really mixing that in, because that's a neat thing to do in general, get underwater fights and whatnot. But they use that well. And so that brings us to Emma, right? Who we constantly see underwater until she finally gets to do something, which is remove a mine while there are sharks around her and then get into a fight. Did you guys like this fight between her and the other henchman guy?
It's new. We haven't seen underwater like fist fight before in the franchise, so that's new. But so yeah, I prefer the one on land.
Sure,
it's clearer to see what's going on, because this is a lot of underwater bubbles, and like you don't actually see Sally ripping Shill. You see Sally rip him off of Emma, He's a little bit later on. You see him with him. So that's a little unclear. But for an underwater fight, it's decent.
There's a good
That was my
headlock.
thing. It's like, hey, Mark, you might know about this. Like, is it, the water's obviously a different environment. Is it easy to like choreograph a fight like that, or you just have to be like, just kind of motion like you're doing certain things? Because obviously it seems like they're trying to like rip each other's face mask off or whatever to disorient them, but it's not the best as far as like how you shoot something like that.
Yeah, no, it's tough. I mean, you got to get the Frog Squad under there and their additional money because you got to pay for them, and then you got to bring the cameras down. You got to pay for those rigs, and then the director, like, he can't really give too much direction because they were relying on some like really sort of antiquated thing to get the directions back and forth. So I bet you it's just a lot of squirm, like take each other's masks off, like just try to get each other's masks, headlock, that kind of stuff. Like, but don't rip off the mask because then we have to keep that going. Then you have to have not have a mask for the entire scene. So yeah, it's just more expensive, and you can't, to choreograph that would take more time. That would be even more expensive. So I think, yeah, just squirm down there and we'll see what we can get.
I feel like my least favorite part of the Bond franchise is the many, many scenes of fighting underwater or just swimming underwater. I get very, like, Thunderball
and Never
one of the worst Bond films in my opinion, because it's so boring. There's like 45 minutes underwater, and I get really bored with it. I don't get bored with this scene.
I actually agree with, like, I don't think it's entirely boring, but I agree with you that I know Thunderball ranks fairly high for many. I don't rank it that high because I do get kind of bored watching so much of that stuff happen.
I appreciate putting the actually in there because you so rarely agree with my opinions on anything. Which is fine.
But it just leads to...
That's not necessarily true. I like giving you but we agree on a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
I guess the fight isn't too important because a great white comes out of nowhere, eats a henchman, then swims away and hides. Like that's
it's a weird scene.
Yeah, and I love it. Like that, Sally's like, "Yo, I gotta get Dr. Emma Collins back here," and then so Sally comes out of hiding. Wait, Great White Sally. I love that.
Great White Sally.
Yeah. That's one of the songs for the Deep Blue Sea the musical.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Great White Sally. Oh
Not
man.
For nothing, but I just noticed this. Deep Blue Sea 3 has a higher rating than Deep Blue Sea on Rotten Tomatoes.
71%.
Now, granted, there's far less reviews, and the type of people that would review this on Rotten Tomatoes are ones that are inclined to like it. And Deep Blue Sea's been out for a while, so there's a lot more reviews. But it's just that's neat to see.
We're happy that it's got a positive rating on that.
It's positive, which is a step up.
We're very frustrated that Deep Blue Sea 2 is technically rotten. So Deep Blue Sea 1, Deep Blue Sea 2 deserves to be rotten. Deep Blue Sea 1 is technically rotten. It doesn't make any sense. But the fact that Deep Blue Sea 3 is fresh, great. So happy for it.
It's 59%, so I could use my powers of good one day to write a Deep Blue Sea review, make it fresh, try to tip
60%.
it over.
It dropped down.
Yeah.
So now that is my mission. It is my mission now. Then so I'm going to write a retro review and submit it on Rotten Tomatoes to make it positive again.
Please do.
So
that's power right there. And
that's the kind of power I want. I don't need more followers. I don't need likes. I just want to be the guy that goes to movies that are rated 59% or 60% and make it go up or down.
The Mummy right there. There's a Knight's Tale. There's a bunch of those. But in regards to this movie, I'm happy to see the 71% because the budget was maybe $3-4 million, and I think this movie hits so. Like we watch a lot of movies, and it's neat seeing a $3-4 million movie that hits above its weight and doesn't look.
Sure.
They didn't stretch the idea of the budget. I think they were really smart how they handled the island and how they introduced it and what follows. But this is one of my. I don't know. It's kind of nice as like a critic or just a movie watcher to see how far they stretched it. So, I mean, what did you think about that going from 2 to 3?
Oh, this for sure is it's a more expansive movie just by the fact that we can see, the sky so often. But I mean, it's like the second one's just so deep involved in like the tunnels and things. And it's like, okay, if you're going to give me that, give me something to grab onto. And it doesn't do it. It just gives me, the same movie as the first with baby sharks. So, I mean, it's.
It tested me, Aaron. It's the one rule of the podcast: if you don't sing that song,
it's
all we ask.
It's like that it feels cheap by design because that's how that movie. You have to rely on sets, and it's no Rennie Harlan, so it just looks like the laser tag room with water and sharks. This movie, yeah, the setup I liked. Like I like seeing that there's this random island that's like artificial so you get a lay of the land right away. Yeah, and all that underwater footage I think is great. Like I like how they were able to wisely spend the money where not to disparage any of the actors, but it's, we're not bringing in any like heavy hitters as far as the cast goes. We have some notables. Like I've seen Ramon in plenty of things, and I've seen Brent Foster in a couple things before as well, and I'm sure